Welcome to iPen Podcast, Interviews and Conversations. Here we bring entrepreneurs and their business to their audience and communities as well as ours. We welcome and connect with them to share who they are and what they do. Authors, entrepreneurs, we extend the invitation to promote your business here on our podcast and in iPen Magazine. Your article, your story, your promotions, how you can connect with others, a new audience, a quarterly magazine presented online for all to view and subscribe to. For articles, ads, and subscriptions, please contact ipendesigns@gmail.com. For your viewing, you can see past articles, past interviews on www.NanetteMBuchanan.com. Welcome to the show. Good evening, and good evening. My name is Nanette Buchanan, and this is iPen Vision's podcast, Interviews and Conversations, and we welcome you to another week, and we're looking forward to having this exciting conversation with an author, a counselor, trainer, and she's got all kinds of fantastic things going on. But before she comes on, you know that I have to invite and bring on my partner in crime, Felice Reeves. I want to thank my audience for being with us, and I want to invite anyone that's new to continue to stay with us. So, Felice, come on and join me.
Hello,
in welcoming everybody.
Hello.
Say hello to everybody. How are you? How you doing?
I'm well. I'm happy.
Okay, let's find out what part of the world are you in this week. Are you in Texas, Georgia, North Carolina? Where at?
I am in Texas. I'm back home for the moment.
You're back home.
Yes.
For the moment. Yeah, for the moment. Okay. Is it raining down there?
No, skies are sunny. It's warm. It's beautiful.
You sent the rain up here. Yeah, the rain, it's pouring up here. Not only is it pouring, it's causing all kind of people to go crazy because these people don't know how to drive in the rain. They have no.
Well, so it should serve as a notice. This is a stay-at-home day. Everybody stay at home.
Well, you know what? I think they got caught because this morning it was bright and sunny and everything was cool. And, so they got caught. But we're going into the last month of the summer. I'm kind of in a look.
And I'm thinking minus 7 days to someone's birthday.
Yeah, that too. But I really wanted another month of the summer for some reason.
Yeah,
I mean, not that the weather here changes much. It's just that the atmosphere, people rushing to go back to school and that kind of stuff. So it's kind of like not yet. But
I know, right? I know I'm not ready yet, even though I have no kids, no affiliation.
Right. I'm just not ready yet. But what I think though is that there's a lot of parents that are ready.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure they're saying, "Shut up, Felice and Nanette."
Send them back to school. Get them out of here.
Or let us send them to your house.
Yes. I understand that totally. So parents, don't get upset with us. We're just, leaning in to say, okay, that's what it is. Well, tonight we have a special guest, Chou Hallegra. I believe that's how we pronounce it. We're going to get her to let us know if that's the way we say it. Because I was like, Hallegra. I'm going to let her correct me. But she goes by Be Well Lady. I thought that was so fantastic because that's something that you want someone to say to you as a woman all the time, to tell you to be well. So I'm interested in hearing what she has to add to the platform and tell us about that name because that's a tagline that I love.
I'm already applauding. Yay.
Exactly. Because I mean, we all aim to be well. So to say that that's a part of her tag, Be Well Lady. Woo. That says a lot. Says a lot. So we want to invite her to the stage. Yay. Come on, Chou. Come on and say hello to our audience. How are you, beautiful?
I'm doing well. Hello, hello. Thanks for having me.
Yes. Now, did I pronounce your last name right? I'm sorry if I didn't.
So it's Allegra. You
It
one of
is
the options you're
Allegra.
thinking about was correct. Yeah, and actually my first name is it looks like Chow in English, but it's actually Chou in French. So
Shoot.
it sounds like
Shoe.
in English it will sound like a shoe that you wear on your foot.
Ah,
Okay.
very good.
Okay. So
Shoot.
it's Shoe Allegra.
There
That's
you
All
go.
you
right.
got
Very
it
So,
there.
and look at that. I was so worried about mispronouncing the last
That's
name. I
it.
had the Allegra right.
Shoot. Shoot.
The first name
You got
wrong.
it. It's so good.
Okay. Shoe Allegra. So now,
Yep.
is it the entire name French? Is
So
the name
Shu, my
French?
Shu is actually a nickname. My full first name is Shu Mart. So mon petit chou in French is like someone you cherish, someone you love. Like it's like saying darling, dear, right,
Um,
sweetie, and
Okay.
that's what CHOU means in French. The just like in English, you also know it's not always what it sounds. Meaning in French, the CHOU means like
Hmm.
sweetie, but if you add an X at the end, it becomes cabbage. So I don't know what parents were thinking, but that's that's where that's why I'm named, right? So for
or maybe they like cabbage. I don't know.
so
Okay.
their plan was Martha is like Martha in
Right.
English, the second part of my first name, and my dad's name is Martin. So the way that they created Shu Mart was that I was Martin Little Sweetie. That's what my
Oh,
first
that's
name
Oh,
was.
sweet. I
okay.
love it.
And so
Oh,
That's
because it's always been too
nice.
long, I'm used to being called Shu, and that's kind of it just stick.
yes. Yes.
Oh,
Awesome.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I love it. I
I
love it.
love it
And the
too.
Be Well Lady is a part of what you do. So
Yeah.
we'll get into that. But
Mhm.
I mean, having a beautiful name like that, and then having the Be Well Lady behind it. Oh, that's
Mhm.
fantastic. That's
It is.
fantastic. That's a
Yes, it
fantastic
is.
tag.
Okay,
Yeah, that's a
so you're
fantastic tag. But
talking.
now we have to go
Well, I was
ahead,
going to
Felice.
ask you have French roots because with all of with your name and everything. So, where do you hail from, and where are you currently?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Brazzaville, Congo, kind of western central part of Africa. And
Yeah.
so Congo was colonized, well, there's two Congos. The Congo that I'm from, the Republic of Congo, was colonized by France. So French is my first language because of that. Um,
Okay.
yeah, but I've been in Pennsylvania now for 21 years. So it's my
Mhm.
home away from home.
Yes.
So yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I'm always
Okay. So
interested on.
now
We have a
we
lag.
don't usually introduce our guests. We don't do the introductions. We ask the guests to introduce themselves. So you've already told us a little bit about your name and you've told us a little bit about where you come from, but in total, who is you?
Yeah, so I am the founder of Grace and Hope Consulting, where I help people be well, do well, work well, lead well. So I do that through counseling, coaching, writing, training, both for individuals, for families, for organizations as well. And outside of that, I'm also author. So all the things that I teach and counsel about, I also write about. Counsel on I write about those same things. At the end of the day, I love all the things that I do, all the things I feel called to do. But my first calling is being a mom. I'm a mother to three amazing children. My daughter is 19, and my boys are 13 and 11.
Nice. Nice. Awesome.
Okay. Okay. So that's awesome. That's awesome. So the company that you have, you've created the company or you joined in with others to create the company?
So I create the company. So Grace and Hope Consulting is like, or it's our main umbrella, the main LLC that I started in January of 2016. So actually, in about 5 months here, we'll be celebrating 10 years.
Very good.
And
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, and under that, then we have Grace and Hope for Families, where we do support for individuals who are impacted by chronic illnesses, mental health, disabilities, and then we also support families, their families, single parents, widows, blended families who often gets lost, in the cracks, whether it's through
Hmm.
services or through faith communities. And so, and then under that, there's also Write with Shu, where I kind of house, if you want, all my writing and publishing under.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
love
Oh,
that.
nice,
I
nice.
love that because, as you said, right with Shu, I was thinking RIGHT instead of the WRITE. But I love
Yeah.
I love that.
Good, good.
Yes.
So
Oh,
now I know you delve in mental health, emotional
Mhm.
stability, emotional intelligence, different things like that, and the
Yeah.
DEI, all of that. So let's delve into some of the issues that may be brought to your agency and how you decide what is going to be done or if you're referring them to other agencies. So is it an overall picture of mental health or is it emotional health? Because I know it does tie into your emotional intelligence part.
Mhm.
So, what type of mental health are we dealing with? Are we dealing with stress, anxiety? Are we dealing with, depression? What type of mental health are you working with?
Yeah, so all the above, everything you mentioned. So sometimes people will come under the main Grace Note Consulting, where we do more professional training and coaching. People will come, well, I need support at work because I feel stressed, right? Stress is usually,
Mhm.
I often say it's usually what pushes people to the door. And then
yeah.
when we open that door, under that, there's anxiety that's fueling that stress. And then
Yes,
we feel
yes.
stuck in this cycle where I'm anxious about whatever it's going on with work, with life, and I can't get off this hamster wheel, right? So I'm working even more. Then I become depressed because my life does not look like what I imagined it would be. And we
Right.
need someone to come in and kind of jump in there with us, if you want, and help us kind of get back on track. So those
Mhm.
three are usually the ones that I get: stress, depression, anxiety, that people come
So
with.
those are the top ones.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And now when someone comes in, they're coming to you as they can come to you with insurance or they come to you and pay directly, they come to you and get volunteer. What do they receive under what you do?
Yeah, so we do not take insurance. So on the Grace of Consulting, we kind of lump that into, that's why it's kind of a coaching model to support people,
Hmm.
through professional, personal life. And even with Grace and Hope for Families, we do a lot of peer support, a lot of support group as well. So to build that community around people. And when we have individuals who need more clinical support, although yes, I have the background, I chose not to be licensed. That's a long story
Hmm.
about that. But in future years, I'm looking to partner with others so that we can support more people. And so people
Hmm.
come, they're paying out of pocket. Sometimes the employer is paying under EAP, employer assistance programs. We have some
Mhm.
partnership with that. Sometimes it's the faith communities. I've had people who the churches are the one who are sponsoring them to get the support they need.
Hmm.
So I'll
Hmm.
partner with civic groups, with other groups and organizations in the community to make sure that people are doing well. And
Yeah.
that's why it's not always individuals. Sometimes it's groups. So I'll come in and do a
Groups.
training,
Right.
whether it's
Right.
virtual, in person, and then people get the tools that they need, and they're like, well, maybe that one training was not enough, or that workshop was not enough, I need more. Then they reach out for a more individual support. And
Mhm.
sometimes
Oh,
we also go into places, whether it's a workplace or place in the community, and help them start support groups that they
Mhm.
can lead
okay.
on their own, to kind of help them establish that resource. And yeah, when people need higher level clinical, more deeper clinical needs, then we definitely refer them out, and we connect people to places they can use their insurance to get that clinical mental health
Hmm.
support if they need it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
So in other words, it's the village concept.
There you go. Yes.
yeah.
Right. The
I
village
love
concept.
I
Love
love
it.
it.
Love it.
So,
Love it.
so you say you're in Pennsylvania, right?
Yep. Hmm.
So is this health, mental health care for your community, or is there a way for other communities to plug in to your?
Well, very great question, my friend. So I often says the world is my playground, and
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
I'm originally from Africa, been in Pennsylvania for 21 years, and in a good and sad way, I'm never tied to location. So although I've been here for 21 years, in
Yeah.
some ways, it still doesn't feel like home. Like I don't know how to explain it
Mhm.
No,
because
I
I
understand. I'm a
understand.
person, so I,
yeah,
I
I
yeah,
understand. I
understand.
understand.
So home
Right.
is people, right? It's the people that I
Yeah.
connect with. So
Mhm.
like right now we're starting an initiative. I'm partnering with another group in Uganda to to do some work there. I've helped with projects in Kenya, in the UK, and all
Mhm.
across the US. So no matter where you are, whether technology gets us there to connect with you, and sometimes I go in person. I travel a lot as well
Mhm.
when and where I'm needed.
Okay, so I'm in Dallas, Texas, and so Dallas, Texas needs you.
I was there in June. So in June,
Wait,
June I went to Houston. So I stopped in Dallas first, and for my layover. So next I might be going back September, October. I'll let you know. We have to
okay,
connect.
please do. Yes, 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 yes. Okay.
Yes,
Um,
yes. So
because Nanette, you remember Damon, right?
yes,
So
yes.
Damon is trying to connect with mental health organizations.
Beautiful.
He's a life coach, and we
Okay.
had this wonderful conversation about the difference between therapy and life
Mm-hmm.
coaching,
Which,
and
yeah,
he
yeah.
has a clear demarcation of the two.
Beautiful.
But he wants to partner.
Yes.
And
So
that's good. And you know what it does is, Shu, just to let you know, what
Mm-hmm.
this platform does is we're trying to make a community network.
Love it. Love
We're
it.
trying to make it where one group may do this, another group may
Mhm.
do that, and who you serve may need both. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? So
Yeah.
if one person knows another person, or they've contacted another person, or they've looked at the video, or they've
Mhm.
contacted us, we automatically would connect them. For example, Felice would tell
Beautiful.
Damon, hey, we had someone on, that did
Yeah.
such and such and such. And
mhm,
that's the type of networking that iPen Vision seeks to do with this podcast. It's not
Beautiful.
just about giving the information to just those that hear it, or
Yeah.
those that look at the replays. It's also about connecting the people that are actually on the podcast
Mm-hmm.
with
Mm-hmm.
others, because we're trying to build a village. Build a village that helps, help you do what you need to do. My
Yes.
my next question deals with this dastardly thing called DEI that has been.
Ah!
Yes, this dastardly. And the reason, I think the reason that I say that is I can remember being younger, and I don't know if it was DEI at that time, because
Mm-hmm.
I was young, I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
but I remember my mother constantly saying that as I grew up, my education had to be equal to a certain culture. It
Mm-hmm.
had to be fit in with a certain culture. It
mhm,
Yeah.
had to be a certain way, because she didn't want me to have to fall by the wayside,
Yeah.
because I was being taught on a different level simply because of culture.
Yeah.
So the thing about it is, where DI comes in and tries to make an equal playing field for
mhm,
everyone, it has
Mm-hmm.
now been distorted to something entirely different.
Yeah.
It's now been, well, most people didn't even believe that DEI had anything to do with anything other than race.
mhm,
They automatically thought that it had to be a racial thing,
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
until they found out that it also has to do with a handicap. It also has to
mhm,
do with people that are, not making the same income. It has nothing to do, or the
Mm-hmm.
same education or anything. It has nothing to do with the culture or the race. Even though that is a component of it, it
Mm-hmm.
was not the overall umbrella for it.
mhm.
So
Exactly.
what does your organization do, in regards to helping people through this process of DEI?
Yeah, yeah. So before all the changes that happened here in the US, we did a lot of training and coaching in organizations, coming in and doing just exactly what you mentioned, showing people that DI, when we talk about diversity, is different levels of diversity. And the
Mhm,
goal for it's not just because if you think about it, diversity exists. We can't change that. We're all in this world, we all look different, different ages, different genders, and all of that.
mhm,
But we need to go a step further, not just by I know allowing people, not allowing, maybe accepting the fact that people are there. We need to go to actually including them to make sure that they have meaningful opportunities to contribute at equal level as everybody else. And
Yeah,
everybody,
mhm,
each person might need different support to be
mhm,
the best. How are we providing that support, right? Whether again gender, race, age, you go,
yeah,
income, and all of that. And
yeah,
so that's kind of the model that we use to the framework, if you want, that we
Mhm.
use to kind of teach, others, if we're in the workplace especially, how to make sure that everyone is valued, seen, respected, right, and heard.
Mm-hmm.
In her.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
many, and it kind of ties in with the whole mental health. So even when I do this training, I always come from the mental health background, and I infuse that, if you want, into the training,
Yes.
because research tells us that if people don't feel valued, if they don't feel seen and heard,
Yes.
they cannot perform at their best,
That's
right?
right.
They
Right,
That's
cannot do
right.
right,
well and work well because they're not well, right? If you
That's
right, right.
right. That's
we have to
right.
start from there. And
Uh-huh.
so if and looking, seeing the impact of lack of inclusion, what
Yeah.
that does to each and every one of us, then the organization should be more empowered and inspired, if you want, even compel
Yeah.
to take action, right? And I know that because now it's, no, like you said, it got all distorted, and now it's the no more funding for this and that, and people are like, well, no, we can't talk about DI anymore. I'm like, that's not true. So
Right.
you just
That's
need
not.
to come to a mission,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
right? I started doing DI work when actually it was Fifth Communities called me to come and help them welcome the immigrants and the refugees that are coming to the communities. That's
Mm-hmm.
how I started doing DI work. And I remember myself being an immigrant.
Yeah.
And I was
Mm-hmm.
grateful that I had family that already, he was already here. But even then, I struggle in so many ways. And I'm like, wow, if
Mm-hmm.
only the larger society had understanding of this part, right? That we all have something to contribute, where we
Yeah.
look different, talk differently, right? Make
Mm-hmm.
different amount of
Mm-hmm.
income. That if we see the value in humans,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
then we can actually, all of us, be bringing what we have, bring what we have to the table, but also with, the world is just a better place, right? Our
Yeah.
organizations are better, families are better, our communities are better
Right.
if
Right,
we are
Yeah.
right,
seeing the value in each person. So
Yeah.
right.
that's what it comes down to for me.
Yeah. So then that, as you talked about, when as you were growing up, I was right behind you in
Mm,
that. That there in it's evolving, but it's something totally different. Back when as we were maturing and getting into it, it was more about equal rights, but it was
Mm-hmm.
still equal yet separate.
Mm-hmm.
Equal but
Mm-hmm.
separate. And
Mm-hmm.
then the DEI was like, no, we have to be inclusive of everyone. So that's an
Mm-hmm.
evolution of that. And then so as you were talking, Shu, it reminded me of, you know, everything, even in our community, as you just said, we may not be inclusive of the immigrants, no matter where
Mm-hmm.
they come from, even in our community. And so we're not inclusive. And then one thing that really struck me is like the homeless population, and
Mm-hmm.
and again, we tend to go with the separate, the equal rights. You have the rights to these things, but I'm not necessarily trying to include you in the things that are going
Mm-hmm.
on in my everyday, and vice versa. So I
mm,
love that, it is such a broad um, spectrum of what
What
includes.
needs to be done and what needs
yeah,
to be
yeah.
handled. I met an author last year who wrote a book for children, and I thought it
Mm,
was such a great book. I really, we were in an award ceremony for
mhm,
our writing,
yes.
and she won the children's book category.
Mhm.
But if she hadn't won, I would have asked why not.
Right.
That
Mm, mhm,
that was because her
Mhm.
book was so needed,
Yeah.
because she had come to America from, I believe, Mexico or Puerto Rico, but she
mhm,
came at the age of 6 or 7,
Mm.
mm,
and no one understood her problem coming into the country.
yeah.
Mhm.
It wasn't so much that her parents didn't speak the language and they had to learn how to work and how to get, everything done. But
Mhm,
no one understood her being dropped off at school every day
right.
Mm.
and not being able to speak the language,
Yeah.
not being able to be treated fairly in school,
Yeah.
Mhm.
being looked at as different as a child
Yeah.
Mm,
growing up, and
yeah.
Mhm.
then going home and dealing with things that she recognized in the home, but anywhere outside of the home she was lost. And
Yeah.
she said she was lost for a few years
Mm.
because she had to pick up on the language, she had
Mhm.
to pick up on the system of how things were done, she
Right.
had to pick up on the culture, and the living was different. So I looked at it after, like I said, in comparison to my childhood, I didn't have to learn the language to go to school. I didn't have to learn how to be, in the
Yeah.
environment playing with other children.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't have friends. She didn't have, she didn't have anything because she couldn't even speak the same language.
Right.
So when we talk about diversity and when we talk about equality and integration and all of that other stuff, we leave out a whole segment when we leave out the children, and then when we leave out the elderly as well. We
Yes.
there's a whole two groups that,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can even go deeper and say, okay, the handicapped, those that have other issues, those that have other problems, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
the homeless. So I think that the DEI part of society is a whole separate issue than everything else that we're going through as far as new government and new policies and all of the other things. We also have to look at how we're treating each other as humans,
Right.
Yes.
just the
Yes.
human nature of it all, the humanity within it is such a strong thing that we sometimes forget, especially when we're dealing with just acronyms and different definitions. We forget
Right.
all about the person as human. This
Yeah.
child is going to school and no one is talking to her all day long.
Mhm.
Oh,
So
wow.
All
traumatic.
right,
Seriously.
right, exactly. So these are the
Mm-hmm.
things. The reason why I said it that way. These are the things that lead to the mental health component.
Mm-hmm.
These
Hmm.
are the things that lead to the anxiety and the stress and the fact that they feel less than, the fact
Yeah.
that they have a diminished ideology of who they are
Hmm.
because of the simple fact that they're not even recognized.
Yeah.
They're,
Yeah.
Yeah.
she's ignored during lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody will sit with her.
Yeah.
Nobody will talk to her. Nobody, and it's
Mm-hmm.
not the fault of the other children. No adult has said to them,
Yeah.
hey, let's get together and welcome her and let's
Yeah.
teach her. No one has said that, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So I look at it from, I don't know why, but I always look at things from the kids' point of view. And
Yeah.
'cause I've always worked with children, and I've always looked at it from their point of view. How they see us
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
is how they will become,
Right.
and that's in your home, that's in society. If they don't see value and
Mm-hmm.
they don't see you doing things that are valuable, they tend to shun away from trying to be different. They want to fit in, and
Yeah.
they fit into the negative, and that's not a good look. So
Mm-hmm.
when you do these programs in DEI, do you work alongside any of I know you said you work in the community, but do you work alongside any of the youth programs also with the DEI?
Yeah, so we've done with a friend of mine who had some connections with schools. We actually did some group for kids,
Oh,
and it was so enlightening because with those groups, it was more like we weren't using DEI, we're not using those acronyms, and it
right.
was all about
Mhm.
belonging. Because that's what it comes down to, and
That's what
that's
it comes down
actually
to.
one
Yeah.
of the books that one of the books that I wrote with friends and kind of an anthology that I led. It's titled "We All Belong" because that's the whole message of DEI, right? We all
Right.
belong. So with kids, we look at how we are different, but
Mhm.
also how we're all the same, and
Mhm.
then
Right.
at the end to bring that sense of belonging. And
Yeah.
how can we find those common traits or common personality, common interests, those things we have in common, and build our relationships on that
Right.
while celebrating our differences.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And
That's
not
Right.
awesome.
only not only that helps with bullying, right? That's
Right.
with
Right.
that. That's bullying in schools.
Right.
But then, like you said, the kids who don't see themselves as valuable, don't see that nobody cares, actually feel seen and heard. So
Yeah.
that decreases,
Hmm.
that decreases depression and anxiety in kids,
Yeah.
increases self-esteem, right?
Hmm.
Just because someone took the time to remind them that they matter.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Right.
So from your perspective, as a leader in DEI initiative, what changes have you seen, since this whole government upheaval of, no longer will it be funded and all of those things. So what's your view of, the state of DEI right now?
Yeah, yeah, and it's sad. And I think, like I said earlier, all of us who believe in the mission of DEI, and we have to remember why we do it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you remember your why, like everything else in life, all of us entrepreneurs, some days are hard. You have to remember why you're doing what you're doing so you can keep going.
Yes.
I
Right,
think it's
right.
that thing with DEI.
Yeah.
Remember why you got on that in that field in the first place. And
Mm-hmm.
it's that I've seen like a lot of we had clients who I think for 4 years in a row, and it was a governmental entity that every year I went and did training and coaching for the team, and the entire department got dissolved. It no
Wow.
longer exists. It's
Wow.
Mhm.
sad. People are without jobs. Where I said,
Wow.
like, put the other aside, but how that impacts people's lives. And
Yeah.
then people are
Right,
struggling and
right.
just can't sleep at night because like how they going to pay the bills, take care of the kids,
Mhm,
put
mhm,
food on the table.
Right.
So
mhm.
it's a deeper impact than just or policies or work. People's
Right,
lives are
right.
impacted by all these
Mm-hmm.
changes, right? So
Yeah.
yes, if you do DI, remember why you do it, and when you remember why you do it, you can always pivot
Yeah.
because your
Right,
main goal, your mission will be the exact same thing, but
Yeah.
how you go about it will be different.
Right.
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 And so it may be like right now we're not going into workplaces and doing this training, but we're still doing a lot of things around belonging. Right.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
actually I've used to call myself a well-being and belonging consultant because that's
Mm-hmm.
exactly what it is. Well-being is for
Yeah.
mental health, belonging is for DI, right?
Right.
And so
Right.
there's still ways that we can look at how team building. Let's even go there. If we look at the workplace,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
one way we can still infuse these DI principles
Sure.
into a team building
Yes.
activities, into a meetings, right? But away from even the collective effort, what are you doing to value, respect, and support
Mhm.
people who are around you, starting from at home, in your community, at the grocery store?
Yeah.
When you do see
Mhm.
a homeless person on the street, how do you treat them?
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
If we're seeing or if you want, like, or brothers and sisters, I'll put it that way, or other people, other human beings as less than, it
Right.
isn't. That's where the mindset needs to change first before we can say all kind of
Be
policy,
anything else.
create
Yeah.
policy does not change mindset.
Right.
Right.
Part.
Right.
Right?
And
Policy
you
does
know
not
what?
change
You
mindset.
are so right. I did team building at the job I retired from, and I
Mm,
was amazed in the state of New Jersey. Our employees were throughout the entire state.
Mm-hmm.
mm,
I had no idea that what it came down to, there was three divides in the state.
Mm-hmm.
People in North Jersey thought one way, people
Mm-hmm.
in Central Jersey thought another way, and people in South Jersey thought another way. And
Mm-hmm.
it came all the way down to popsicles. Like in
no.
North Jersey they called it popsicles, in
Uh-huh.
Central Jersey they called it pops, and in Southern Jersey they called it something else. You know,
Wow.
it literally was all the way down to food. It was
Wow.
down to soda. It was down, like
Oh
different
yeah,
things,
it's
different
Coke, it's pop.
categories.
Yeah.
They called it different things.
Right.
And at one point it was where they were trying to convince the other that it couldn't even be called that. Like no, you're calling it that, but it can't be, so it was all the way down to just basic stuff that they were arguing about. Well, no, it's not that. And then of course that would always boil down to, well, where were you raised? And then were you
Where
in
did that come from? Yeah.
a two-parent home? Like what does a
Mm.
home have to do with
What does that to do with what
food?
I call food,
Right.
right? Exactly.
Yes, yes. So
Yeah.
it wasn't, and the thing I think that amazed me more
Mm-hmm.
was that it wasn't about racial
Mm-mm.
differences.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it was just the difference in locations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they didn't know, we never heard of that,
Mm-hmm.
and then when they would describe whatever the food was, they would say, oh no, we don't call it that.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
call it this,
Yeah.
so it would just change. So you're
Mm-hmm.
right. It's a mental thing when it comes to, well, how do you view this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you look at this? How do
Mm-hmm.
you determine whether or not you go right or left? What made
Mm-hmm.
you go to the left and not go to the right? Or what made you not offer to help as opposed to help? What
Mm.
made you decide to discriminate as opposed to associate?
Yeah.
What level of consciousness did you use to make your determination? So we had to go through the team building exercises because being that they all were in the same job, they somewhat have to come to the same ideology.
Right.
They have to begin to think the same because when they're approached and they're together, they have to have the same mindset to accomplish whatever their job is for that day. So we had to go through a lot of team building because in the beginning, it was like having some of the classes were like 30 or 40 people, and it was like having 40 individuals.
Yeah.
And those 40 individuals at the end of 16 weeks had to think like one.
Yeah.
So we had to have team building, quite a bit during their cycle to just get them to just think alike.
Yeah.
To just understand someone else's opinion.
Right.
Or
And respect it.
Yeah.
Right. Or accept someone else's opinion. We had to get that part out of their mind that you can't think like that, know. So DEI for me was a whole different element. And then the higher up you go in rank in positions in the job, it seemed like the worse you got. Their opinions were even worse than the ones, that were on the lower levels. They really, think they're in the king's world, like we don't touch pennies. We only touch gold, So in those type situations, we talk about the mental health. But there was something that stuck out to me where you said you deal with emotional intelligence.
Yes.
I never thought about being emotionally intelligent. I always thought about, you think about being on an emotional roller coaster. You think about being emotionally stressed or having emotional anxiety. What is emotional intelligence?
Well, before I answer that, this is why, I started like with what I do is help people be well, right? Because all the over emotional words that we attach to them are words that are not as positive, right? And so emotional intelligence, it actually is the ability to understand your own emotions and the emotions of others, and be able to regulate your own emotions, and also then support others, as they regulate theirs.
Yeah.
So
Well,
never,
how do I identify with emotions that I don't understand?
back to what we just talked about, can we even just accept them first? Because I think we spend so much energy refusing, repulsing, suppressing,
Right.
things that we don't know, things we don't like, things we don't understand. Right? It takes more and more energy to do that, and just acknowledge, right now I don't know what I'm feeling, but I'm not feeling myself. That's okay. And it could be like, when you talk about leadership, that's why I do a lot of this training for leaders, kind of fusing back to the DI. There's so much of that. How are you seeing, how do you interact with the people that you support at work? Right? Are you able to control your own emotions, manage them well? And are you creating a place where there's psychological safety so people can be the best selves?
Yeah.
If I'm coming to work always mad, I remember one client actually, he got fired for reporting a supervisor who always came and yelled at him, slammed his door, and one day even said, "If you guys, meaning the entire team, don't get these reports by the end of the day, I'm going to shoot somebody." And for him, he was just mad. Slams the door, goes to his office, and I'm like, "Whoa,
No,
wait a
you
minute."
can't. No,
And then
That's exactly right.
this gentleman reaches out for support. It's like, the stress at work is off the roof because I can't take this anymore. He literally got sick to his stomach every morning going to work.
Right.
And then he took the step to report it. And guess what? Because back to what you said, sometimes leaders think that they're sitting in this golden seat. They're no longer humans.
Right.
And so that leader was allowed to stay in that position, and he was the one that got a severance pay to leave.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
So
wow.
the lack of
And you know what? That happens.
around.
That happens more often than we think. Even with women with male bosses, that happens a lot. I remember in my younger years just taking the transfer. I couldn't deal with it. It was more or less either I'm going to come in and really, really, really go off, and you're going to lock me up, or I have to be transferred. So I asked for the transfer because
Yeah.
I knew that they were not going to transfer
Mm-hmm.
the person in charge.
Right.
They were not going to
And
do
that's
that.
not fair,
But
right? Back
right,
to equity,
but
but that's not equitable.
exactly, but as a supervisor, you're absolutely right. You get people, if you've got 10, 15 people that you're supervising, and I know I supervised a shift, and some at the main site, I had over 40 people I was that
Mm,
were under my supervision. But then at the smaller site, I only had about maybe 15.
okay.
But the thing about it is it was 15 different personalities. It's 40 different personalities and
Yeah.
40 people that may have different issues
Mm-hmm.
going on at one time,
And it can
so
vary from day to day. There
from
might be
day,
somebody on Monday and then
yes,
not actually on
yes.
Tuesday.
Yes. And sometimes, they come in and they talk to you. And when they leave out, you say, just close the door. And when they close the door, you're holding your head because you like,
Mm-hmm.
I can't understand
What
how
just
this
happened here?
person, yeah,
Right.
because, but
Yeah.
you're right. I have to have the emotional intelligence to realize that some of the things that they're bringing into me are
Has
from
nothing to
their
do with me.
home.
Right.
It's
Mhm.
from their personal life. It may
Mm-hmm.
be a tidbit from the
Mm-hmm.
job. It
Yeah.
may not even refer to me as a
Right,
person.
right.
It may be a coworker that they're having a problem with. It could have been the drive in
Right.
Yeah.
that caused the problem. So
Yeah.
you're right. You have to break it down to, exactly what are you bringing into your emotion? Why are you attaching it
Right.
even
There
to
you
your
go.
emotions?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why not, I used to tell them all the time, go take a walk,
Mm-hmm.
just go,
Yeah, self-care is part
go,
of emotional intelligence. Yeah.
go take a walk, take a deep breath, go take a, well, you need a break.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get somebody to break you,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
because sometimes that was needed.
Mm-hmm.
And what a lot of people don't understand, and I want the audience to understand, I dealt with 3 suicides
Mm,
from workers that I supervised.
Oh, wow.
wow.
And the thing about it is, in law enforcement, when you have suicides, it affects the whole unit.
Yeah.
Everywhere,
So
everywhere, not
now
just law
you
enforcement.
have to
Yeah.
go in and deal with the unit. But the thing about it is that you have HR that
Mm-hmm.
comes in and says, okay, how many people can't work? So we can write them down as not working, and we have to take their weapons.
Yeah.
That's not the way to approach somebody who just lost a friend
Right.
Yeah.
or a coworker,
Mm-hmm.
or has their own emotional things going on.
There
Yeah.
you
They
go.
don't even know how to deal with, that type thing. So you have to take in accord
That's
what's
yeah.
going on emotionally with people. You
Yes.
have to
Yeah.
Yeah.
you have to
And
look
it
at that.
goes, yeah, and it goes both ways, right? So I like you
Hmm.
give the example of some on the way to work, someone cut them off, for example, like they just to drive to work is what created all the emotional appeal per se. But
Hmm.
if I have enough emotional intelligence, I take care of myself before I enter the workplace.
Right.
Right? I
Right.
take
Right.
that deep
Yeah.
breath. I listen to that song that I need to. I say my affirmation. If I
Exactly.
need, I go pray. Take that glass of the glass of cold water, so that when I go
Right.
into work, I am not dumping on people who didn't do
Exactly.
anything wrong to me, right?
Right.
And,
So it goes both
right.
ways. Yeah.
And a lot of times the job wants you to be almost schizophrenic. That's what I
Mm,
used to define it as. You go
explain,
into
yeah.
work and they say, leave your home life at home.
Yeah.
And you walk into the job. And then while you're at the job, they say, leave your job life at the
Mm-hmm.
job and
Right.
go home. So I
It
Yeah.
used to
doesn't
tell
work
people
that
the
way.
same thing. Don't go home the same route every day.
Mm-hmm.
Take another route, turn on the gas
Mm-hmm.
station. Don't
There you
stop at the
go.
bar. Don't stop, don't do those kind of things. But at
Uh-huh.
least relax a little bit, because some
Mm-hmm.
people lived close enough to be 15 minutes away. You
Yeah.
Yeah.
know, 15 minutes is not enough time to
To
digress
decompress.
when
Mm-hmm.
you've
Yeah.
been working in a certain
Yeah.
environment.
Yeah.
You have to be able to digress. Leave the job at the job, yes, but be
Mm-hmm.
able to digress from it, because
Mm-hmm.
mentally it's still going on in your mind.
Yeah.
There's still things that you didn't get done, that you need to do the next day. There's still
Mm-hmm.
things that you have to get done.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that the emotional intelligence is key
Yeah.
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
general living, even with children, you
Yeah.
know,
All
going to
relationships.
school.
That's
Yeah.
a huge one. And like I did have an incident long time ago at my job. There was this one man, and he was a manager, and he, for some reason, I don't know, my manager was a woman, and she was soft, and but she was very intelligent. But this man, for some reason, I don't know if he specifically had it in for her. I don't know, but he would come in and he would just wreak havoc. And I used to ask her, I said, why do you let him do that? Why? And for some reason, she didn't want to stand up to him. So one day he caught me at the wrong time. It's like, and he came to me and I told him, I was like, look, I don't know who pissed in your Cheerios, but it was not me. So therefore, I did, and even I shocked myself because, and I think it was because of the buildup of how he treated
how he had been treating her.
I was taking that on, and I'm like, stop letting him do that to you. And literally, I never had not another day of angst with him. So it's kind of like standing up to the bully, but still being emotionally saying, look, you're attacking from some other reason that has nothing to do with me. So, again, I need you to address me a little bit differently and not do that. So, so speak to that. How do, if you are being, on the wrong end of something emotionally going on with someone else, what are some tips or what is the best course of action to not allow that to, to continue, but just actually stand up for yourself as well?
Yeah, I think your example was perfect, right? So that's when we say about knowing our own emotions and supporting others doesn't mean that we're going to put up with nonsense, right? No, because if I know myself well, I will learn to value myself. If I value myself, I will not put up with disrespect. So so recognizing that this person is having their own problem, and like you said, being calm, right? Be calm enough to say, I understand that you might be going, recognizing their emotions. Maybe I see that you might be going through something hard right now, that you are maybe not, acting like your typical self. And I'm not sure what happened. You don't even have to go and be a counselor. That's not what this is about. It's about where they're coming from, and then saying that but I want to be treated X, Y, and Z way, right? Like this, like you said, I would prefer or appreciate if you talk to me in a polite voice. Or maybe, and I've had people, and I've done this myself. I said, I looks like right now you're overcharged, and and you have the right to your emotion. You have the right to get emotional. I'm not sure why, but how about we talk about this later when we're both calm? I might be already calm, but I'm going to say both out of respect, right? So they don't feel singled out, and so that might be another way of doing that. Because and at all times, if you don't feel safe, it's okay to say, I am done talking about this and get out. Because you never know how things will escalate, right? And that was the case with the example I gave of the gentleman at work. He didn't know, like, well, he said it a couple of times, but who knows when he actually
was going to snap, right?
So you want to take things at face value, and this ties a little bit to what you're talking about, Ned, about suicide, which, just to plug, I'm doing a free webinar on September 16th. It's on my website on graceofconsulting.com. It's suicide prevention in the workplace, because September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. So, because again, just you take everything seriously when you hear it, and make sure that you're taking care of yourself and you're also providing support to the person.
And not only that, it's so many clues after. It's so many clues that when you reflect and you go back and you ask people, they have missed so many clues that they now can add up. So the thing about it is to pay attention to the clues. Don't feel so bad about asking a person to calm down. Don't feel bad about asking a person to deflect.
Yeah. Because a lot of times they're so
don't feel bad about telling them, wait, we'll talk about this later. Don't feel bad at all about addressing some of the things that one of the officers that we had, he had a big Halloween party every year. Nobody noticed that he had not been talking about that party. Something that small was an indicator that something was wrong.
Yeah.
Something that small. So when you notice that there's a change, a major change. He had been having these parties for years. This wasn't just a thing that he did randomly. It was for years. People would go out and get costumes and everything for this big party. And all of a sudden there was no talk about it. And whenever someone would ask him, he said, yeah, we're going to do it. Yeah. But it was a major change. So you have to pay attention to your friends, to your family members, to your coworkers. You have to pay attention, because later on when you reflect, it then does something to your emotions.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that you didn't tap in to what your emotions told you. It was like a reminder. Hey, did someone ask? Did someone do this? And now that you're adding up all of the pieces, could you have prevented this breakdown, or this big problem on the job, or this big argument, or whatever it is? When you notice a difference in a person's attitude or actions, you don't know where it's going to go, and don't let it get there. Don't even with children, if they're having a problem in school, don't wait till the end of the school year to go see about what's going on. If they're telling you that they got a bully in their class, you go see about that bully right then and there. Don't wait until your child comes home with the busted lip and the black eye, or they're calling you, telling you your child fought this kid. To get the kid off. So you have to look at it and say, well, wait a minute. We got to handle this, and handle it when it is there. So I'm so glad that you're having that type of, webinar or training, because a lot of people don't realize, they say, well, there's no signs. There's signs, and those that even distant people can kind of tell when the person kind of changes. Well, wait a minute, they're a little off today. That's not their normal behavior. Yeah.
So, Chou, I have a question for you, because, I always wonder what the journey was and how you started to where you get here. So, what got you into mental health, into DEI, and all of those things? Where did you get your start? Or tell us.
So, I often say to people, I needed myself when I needed it the most. That makes sense. So I've experienced the same things that I now support others through, and I had to learn in the hard way. But now I'm grateful for the experience. I learned to turn my stumbling blocks into stepping stones.
Oh, I love it.
And so I struggle myself, depression, anxiety, and trauma, PTSD. I needed to get help. I've been in a psychiatric hospital. I have no shame of saying that, because when I was my lowest, getting the help I needed now allows me to do this. And sometimes when people think because I do all this and I've been running this business for 10 years, I'm infallible. I'm like, no, I'm human. And now I just have the tools to be well, so I can do well, work well, and lead well. But it has to choosing to be well. That's where that name comes from, right? And now I tell people, like, we share a lot of work scenarios here. We share a lot of, with parenting, we share a lot of things in the community. It also with being well. If I cannot be well, I cannot do well at work. I cannot do well at home. I cannot do well at school, right? And I definitely cannot do well at work. Like, I cannot work well if I'm not well mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially. All of that. Wellness it's not just physical. Sometimes that's what we put the effort on. But there are people who are physically well and emotionally not well, and they are kind of this, prison sometimes. And I had clients, use that term. And so back to your question, I went through all of those. When it comes to DEI, like I said, I came here as an immigrant, and I've struggled. I've had places where I didn't feel included. I didn't feel seen, respected. I was seen as less than. I've been discriminated against in many ways. And I realized how that was impacting me in other areres of my life. So what happens at home, like you said earlier, doesn't just stay at home. What happens at work doesn't stay at work, right? We are human being, we have to take this holistic approach to life. Yes, there are some things we can put in compartments, but you as a human being, you're a holistic being. And knowing how to support yourself in every area allows you to perform well, to be well in every
Mhm.
area. So I've been through those things myself, and now I wanted to be part of the solution, right? So I think it's Gandhi that says, "Be the change that you want to see in the world." So here I am. That's how I got started.
Yes, I love
Yeah,
it. I
I
love
love it. I love it. Well, now your books, Made to Overcome, Grounding Grace, and Be Resilient. I know that they all are connected to what you do and how you do. But just tell us a little bit about each book.
Yeah. So the Made to Overcome is a series, and they're all anthologies. So we have Made to Overcome Mental Health Edition 1 and 2, Made to Overcome Single Parenting. There's a Grief Edition, there's Chronic Illness Edition. And it's all stories of people who've been through the exact same thing, whatever the title, the focus of the book is, and now are telling people, hey, you can make it through as well. Here's what
Mhm.
helped me. Here are the resources. Here are the mindset shift that I needed to have to get through this. So it's literally reminding all of us that we are made to overcome. And then
it.
Grounding Grace is a devotional that I wrote. And sometimes it's hard for us as human beings, as it is back to DEI. We're seeing others, as valuable, especially when they're different, right? And that's when we
Right,
need to extend grace. But sometimes it's hard to extend that grace because we have not received that grace for ourselves first,
Yeah,
right?
mm,
If I can show myself some grace, it becomes a little easier to show others some grace. So in there,
mhm.
it's raw stories of my own experiences where I say,
really.
this is what happened, this is how I got through it, right? This is what helped me. So it's a devotion, so it's a faith-based book, and then there's questions and scriptures to help you do your own processing and journaling so that you kind of
Okay.
get to release some of those emotions.
I love
Be
it.
resilient. Actually, that one I do have here with me. So be resilient is this one, if you can see it. It's probably
Yeah.
backward on your
Mhm.
screen there. So it's a
Hmm.
collection. It's also an anthology as a workbook attached to it. And in this, the five other ladies wrote it with me to share the same message that you can be resilient. So we all share how we turn our stumbling blocks into stepping stones. So
Yeah.
I
Okay.
open the book with my story, and I call it Ashes to Beauty, showing exactly that, from mental health challenges to not being a mental health consultant, right, to being rejected and pushed away and unseen, not
Mhm.
to creating spaces where people feel seen and respected. Because
Right.
I needed to, instead of seeing the pain that I've been through as a reason to be bitter or to be locked in that own emotional prison, I
Yeah.
try to
Mhm.
see it as a stepping stone and a fuel to be the change that I am today.
Right, right. Well, now I understand all of this, and I hope that those that are listening, those that will see this, will
Hmm.
understand the necessity of doing this type of writing. This
Mm-hmm.
type
Yeah.
of writing is not so much of making the fiction story or making the biography or
Hmm.
making anything else. It's to pull people in and
Yeah.
for you to see yourself within the writing that goes on. And I say that because I write fiction books, I write poetry, I write children
Mm-hmm.
books, but I write with morals and stories and, hey, see yourself in this situation and different things.
Yes.
But in writing my madness book, it's similar to what you've written here, where
Mm.
you begin to pull people in to see themselves. You
Yes.
want them to see themselves and made to overcome. You
Mm-hmm.
have grounding grace. Be
Mm-hmm.
resilient. It's that push that you want to give people, and you're showing them how you pushed yourself. So
Yeah.
I commend you on
Thank you.
producing those type books,
Thank you.
because we need to have somewhere where people can go and not spend a fortune
Hmm.
Mm.
to have to get some kind of help. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because a lot of times you go to these psychiatrists and stuff, and they're charging you X amount of dollars per hour, or you're paying so much out of your insurance
Mm-hmm.
that you can't complete all of the sessions, or you have to cut down on the sessions, and you wound up on the medication. A
Right.
lot of times the medication is a pen and a pad.
Yeah.
Being able to write,
Hmm.
and get it out of your system, being able to read and hear someone else say, I've been through what you're going through.
Yeah.
So I commend you totally on
Thank
Hmm.
producing that type of work so that others can see what you do.
Hmm.
And just to let our audience know that you can get the books at Right with Chow. I'm Shu. I'm sorry. Right with
you.
Shu.
Good.
Rightwithshoe.com. If
Yeah.
you contact her there, that's where you can get the books from her. And please, please, please get in touch with her in reference to her groups and the therapy groups. Even if you have a group already, your
Mhm.
group may be an extension of what they're doing or help others, to connect, as
Yeah.
well as her website, graceandhopeconsulting.com. Get in
Mhm.
touch with her there for the consulting and the matter, because everything matters. The connections that you make, I think, waiting until you're an adult to actually get a circle of friends or a circle around you, I'm learning time and time again, you're late.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
late. Because a lot of our circles that are lasting circles, we start early in life,
Mhm.
and if we can get a support system that begins to start early in life and you grow together in these things, it helps a lot. So if you don't have a support system, or you don't have people that you can call and say, hey, I'm not feeling well, or hey, let me tell you what's going on, you
Mhm.
need to have that type of support. I mean, I always introduce Felice as my partner in crime, but
Mhm.
she's also a part of my support system, and I'm a part of her support system. You never know when you need to just talk to someone. You just need to air out some of the things that you're frustrated with.
Mhm.
So I recommend, contacting Grace and Hope Consulting, so that you can get into, understanding a little more about yourself and doing a little bit more with that type of thing, because we all need to have that type of balance in our
Mhm.
lives. We all need that. So
Thank you.
I'm understanding that with the mental health and with the DEI and with the consulting and everything else, what's your next?
Whew. So I'm writing more, and I can't release the titles yet, but I'm working on about 2 books right now, and I write poetry on the side. And someone said, "Why don't you ever put your poetry together for a book?" I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that. My poetry is like myself, my journaling. Well, that's where I
Mhm.
process my own emotions. It might be
Right,
too
right,
personal
right.
to be public. So I'm still trying to see if I want to do a third one of a poetry book. But I'm writing 2 different books, and one, I'm not going to share the title, but I want to share the instance of it. I have seen so many women struggle with boundaries, and
Mm,
Mhm.
and sometimes because we've been wounded, then we no longer respect ourselves to set boundaries with others, and then we
Sure.
get wounded even more. And that's
mhm,
what's really swaying in my heart. So one of the book is actually focused on that. And I said I was not going to say the title, but now I'm getting excited to say the title. So it's going to be guard your heart,
Uh,
because
mhm.
and
Yes,
then how to
yes.
set and then the focus on boundaries, but still with boundaries for ourselves first, and then
mhm.
how we can extend those to others.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm,
the other book I'm working on right now is about helping leaders to do just like what we're talking about, emotional intelligence.
Mhm.
How you
mhm.
cannot, so kind of walking them through the process of being well, doing well, working well, and then so they can lead well. Some
Yeah.
people just want to start leading and have not done the other steps, and it's chaos for them and for others.
Yeah.
So
Well, now
that's
let me
doing
just,
that.
because you brought that up, what my son and I always go through this conversation about social media
Mm,
and how social media leans into persuading
Mhm.
people's thoughts, people's
Mhm.
emotions,
Sure.
mhm,
and how they react to others and how they
mhm.
react to what's going on social media.
Mhm.
Do you find in your therapy sessions that you have to include the fact that a lot of people go and just blast, or go in and just tell it all, or share things they shouldn't be sharing,
Mhm.
or feed into stuff that's not supportive? It's
Mhm.
more directed to pointing fingers and making accusations. Do
Yeah.
you have to deal with that a lot?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And I've had clients who, as they grow, right, they learn themselves to set the boundaries not to go online. And
Right.
sometimes it's not
Hmm.
they're not the one putting everything out there. So I'll what comes to mind right now, I have few clients who maybe are dealing with grief, or dealing with
Hmm.
grief because they lost a loved one, but also grief because they're trying to conceive and have lost a few, have lost children that didn't know, that were not
Hmm.
born. So
Hmm.
when it's Mother's Day, they're not going online looking at everybody's pictures about what they did with their kids on Mother's Day, because that's
Sure.
triggering
Hmm.
for them. So
Yeah.
that's part of the emotional intelligence. Do I know myself well to give myself what I need when I need it? So
Right.
sometimes it's creating that boundary so that we protect ourselves in during those days, those times. But there's also then like you said, people who are blasting everything out there because they don't have boundaries towards themselves, but often
Yes.
because they don't have that support system you're talking about. Because if I have people I can trust and I can go and vent to, I don't need the whole world to know what happened in my house today.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
know,
Exactly.
I might share the funny things so we can laugh together to bring more laughter. I might share a resource. I might share things that'll be, edifying, supporting others, helping others. But
Exactly.
people don't have to know every little problems that I'm going through, and
Yeah.
especially not in details.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why you
Right.
need that village,
Right.
right? You
Right.
need that village. So you
Yeah.
have a place to process your pain, process your situations, and maybe you
Right.
need a life coach to help you then, plan out your life. How do I
Mhm.
live a life that I want to live? And then a
Yeah.
life that
Right.
always gets me mad that I have to go blast on social media,
Yeah.
right? And
Right.
then too, when I've had people that I had to block on social media. I love people,
Mm-hmm.
love people. Like on my personal page, I can't even accept any more friends because I'm up to the 5,000 limit. Because I love people, but
Yeah.
when it comes to things that are not helping me, or
Yeah.
things that are not edifying, things that don't align with my
Mm-hmm.
values, I
Yeah.
have no problem telling the person, hey, I can't follow you no more on social media because I cannot read that stuff. But if
Right.
you need me,
Right.
here's my website, here's my phone number, here's my email. You
Yeah.
can reach out to me. I have no problem against you. I have
Yeah.
a problem with your content.
With your
Right.
content.
Okay.
Right.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
totally
Or
okay.
those that are on your page. And
Yeah.
Exactly.
a lot of
Yeah.
times this stuff is
Mhm.
so unreal. And you
Mhm.
look at it and you go, well, that can't happen.
Yeah.
That doesn't, but then you got a whole
And
column
right,
of
the
what
people who comment,
people's
it's like,
the
do you have to
comments of
comment
what,
to anything?
and I'm
I
like,
can see and just swipe. Like I pass through, I scroll
Yeah.
up or down.
right,
You know
right,
what your opinion
right.
is not to be public. I can
And it's
figure out my
almost
word.
like
I don't have to post it there.
it's almost
Yeah.
like eating bad food. You get a taste in your mouth and you can't get rid of the
And
taste.
then
You know, you like trying to
yeah,
figure out what did
yeah,
I eat or what did
Yeah.
I smell that was bad. You
right.
know,
And then it
you
gets
did a
sticks for
bad
the whole day.
thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Wow.
social
Wow.
media too now, the past few years, we have research that proves is the second leading cause of decline in youth mental health.
Yes.
Right,
Or
Yes.
youth are
right.
having anxiety and depression because they're comparing themselves with people who are never real, people
Exactly.
with pictures that are photoshopped, right? No,
Hmm.
and then there are also people youth I never thought just going on social media to bully others.
Right.
Leave a little bit
Right,
Yes.
helpful,
right.
right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
take care of yourself,
Mhm.
and pull away when you need to, and make
Right.
sure that the things that you're letting, the things and people that you're
Mhm.
letting into your place, into your
Mhm.
space, are building you up, or you are building them up. Because
Sure.
if
Yes.
yeah, that's the only way to wellness for all of us.
Yeah.
We have to have relationships that help us be well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Now you did have a comment that I thought was phenomenal. I looked at it and I said, "Wow,
Mhm.
okay, she's got me. I
Mhm.
be well, do well, work well." I understood all of that, but then you said, "And lead
Well.
well."
Yeah.
A lot of us we're doing well. We're well in our physical, in our mental, in our emotional, spiritual. We're doing well. We're being well. We work
Mhm.
well with others. We're the social butterfly. We're the one that makes sure that everything is connected, but we refuse to lead.
Mm.
We refuse to give back. We refuse, and I'm not saying refuse where we just tell people no. We just don't do.
Oh, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
We
yeah.
just don't extend ourselves. we
Mm.
don't we don't look and see something is wrong and assist in making it correct,
Mhm.
Yeah.
or saying what might be correct to just help push it along. We
Mm-hmm.
don't have to get totally involved, and that's why I'm saying it this way. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of people think that if I'm going to lead well, that means I got to be totally involved. I got to immerse myself in to someone else's business. The
No.
example that I'm using for the audience to know, iPen Visions does not get involved with every person that has been on our show. I am not going back to be a leader in Chou's business.
Mhm.
There's no way in the world. Now, I may tell people you need to go and talk to her, or you
Mm-hmm.
need to be a part of what she does, or you may be interested in how she's doing. But I am not, unless we're collaborating on an effort together, I'm not trying to take over her business. I'm not
Mhm.
trying to lead her astray of what she does. If this is what she does, a collaboration is not a problem. But I'm
Mhm.
not there to take over. And leading does not mean that you're taking over.
No,
Mm,
no.
And a lot of times people think that, well, if I get involved,
mm-hmm,
it's going to be too much for me.
mm,
No, you get involved. If it means that all you're doing is taking the tickets at the door, then you're doing well. You
Yeah.
don't have to be the main person
mm,
in someone else's project.
mm-hmm,
You can just be the help. But that
Right.
means that you're leading. You can lead others to what she's doing. You can lead others
Mhm.
to the resources that are available. You
Mhm.
can lead others to the education that she's giving. You don't have to be the person to be in charge.
yeah.
And for some reason, people think if I lead, I'm in charge.
No.
I don't have
No.
to be in charge.
Yeah,
Correct.
and
Correct.
also looking at from taking that from just a slightly different angle of leading. You know, a lot of people that they are well and they'll do
Mhm.
well and they work well, but you're supposed to leave breadcrumbs for others to follow, right?
Right.
So that's the leading well. You know, you work well, but and then especially in our social media age, of put it out there and put the success out there, but being responsible for that. That's leading well.
Mm.
Right.
And, I'm doing well. I'm showing you, the success that I have, but I'm not giving you any of the backstory. Much like I love our podcast because
Mhm.
the people that come on are most are doing well and being well and working well. But
Mhm.
we ask the questions. We
Yeah.
ask, what got you here?
Mhm.
Not necessarily the pitfalls, because we don't want to, we want to celebrate your success. That's what we're here. We are here to celebrate you. But in that, there's a responsibility of not
Yes.
giving people a perception that, and that's how it happened.
Yeah, it
Right. Right.
wasn't magic. It wasn't
Yeah.
magic.
It's
We
not
know that
magic. We
you had
saw
to work
social
for it.
media, right? Back to the social media
Right.
glamour. Yeah.
Exactly. We want to
Exactly.
let people know that there is a
Mhm.
journey
Yeah.
and that everyone that comes on that is successful or that is going towards success
Hmm.
or that has been successful and fell and had to try again.
Right.
We want them to know that there's a road that has to
Mhm.
be followed, and sometimes that road has divots, sometimes it has turns,
Hmm.
sometimes it has turnaround, sometimes it has a pause, you
Hmm.
Mhm.
know, but we want everyone to know that it's a journey.
Yeah.
And if you're on the podcast, I take the time to look into, well, wait a minute, let me see what she's doing. Well, wait a
Right.
minute, let me look up this, let me look up that.
Yeah.
Let me check out, is this journey worth our time? Because
Mhm.
Hmm.
if you're on the journey and you're still confused, where are you going to lead others?
Yeah.
If you're still,
Confusion, right?
Yeah. 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 And,
you
and
know,
again, there is the success of it all, but understand that success comes with many factors. There's a
exactly.
lot of
And
things
believe
that
me, I've
into
had
that
some people.
success. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've had some people that when I get to talking to them or asking
Mhm.
questions, or they send me, a little snippet of what they
Mhm.
do, and then I go to look at what they're doing. I'm like, this doesn't
Mhm.
even match. What is,
Yeah.
Mhm.
how am I going to explain that to an audience that's seeking to be where
Yeah.
you are?
Mhm.
Someone seeking to have a consultant
Mhm.
therapy, or someone that's saying, hey, I'd like to go into that.
Mhm.
What am I showing them if I don't check what you're doing and
Right.
understand that you're willing to lead well? That's
Mhm.
the whole part of the concept of the
Yeah.
show,
Yeah.
Yeah.
to be able to give someone an indication that, hey, here's a door. If you
Mhm.
want to take this door, you want to be an author, you can go in this door. If you want to be a
Mhm.
consultant, you can go in this door. You want to be a trainer, you can go in this door. Hey,
Yes.
you got cases of DEI, check out this door.
Mhm.
Whatever it is that's a component of what you do, I need to make sure that those factors are good factors.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I really appreciate that saying, because a lot of people stop and figure, I
Mhm.
don't have to show anybody else anything. And
Mhm.
if you're not showing anybody, I mean, I don't have to do this every
Right.
day.
And then what's the point? Yeah.
What's the point if I'm
Right.
not going to say, hey, I
Mhm.
want to lead you to become whatever it is you desire?
Yeah.
So
Right. Right.
here's some guests that have
Mhm.
done what you're looking into, from
Mhm.
comedians to DJs to
Mhm.
authors to therapy to we've had all kind of people that have
Mhm.
Mhm.
gone through, and all of them have been successful and have taken different routes to
Yeah.
how they became, you
Yeah.
know? So I really appreciate that
No,
saying.
thank
Really
you.
do.
I
Really.
had a mentor tell me this, and that really stuck. When I'm actually back to when I started, this was in the beginning, so almost 10 years ago. And this coach told me, if you had the cure for cancer, you're not going to hide it in your closet.
Very good.
Hmm. Hmm.
Right. And that stuck with me. And because I was the type of people who were so shy about talking about what I do. I'm like,
Yeah.
I love doing what I do. I love being there for people. Don't put me in the
Yeah.
spotlight.
Yeah.
Podcast who? I'm not coming. Like, no, thank you. Right. When you have to be the end of you, no, thank you. Well,
That
show
was
you,
me too. Yeah.
yeah, then you can see your face on your social media. My face, no, my story, no, thank you. But
Yeah.
Right.
and that
Right.
changed it for me, right? That I needed to be able to lead well. I can support people in my doing consultations. I can support people in the group, but
Mhm.
unless, like you said, I am willing to to share the part of the stories that's harder, I'm not helping others to do the same.
Right.
And
Right.
then, and
Right.
so when I knew that what I have is like a cure to cancer, I
Right.
would do myself and others a disservice if I went to my grave with it.
Right.
Right.
And
Right.
that keeps me getting, that helps me get out of bed every single morning.
Yeah.
Right.
And so through that, because of that, I've had multiple partnership with different universities where actually I have interns and people that are trained to be doing the things that I do today.
Yeah.
And many
Hmm.
of them are still connected to the agency. They actually, some of them are contractors for me. There's no Some of them come and volunteer and run the support group, and
Nice.
sometimes even
Right.
past clients will come and do the support group because now they've seen the difference, the impact that they can make.
And it
And
has.
because I was
Right.
allowed to, I gave myself permission to do that. I'm teaching
Mhm.
them how to do it, and now it's a legacy.
Mhm.
Leadership
Right.
is legacy.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. That's
Yes.
beautiful. That's
Very good.
beautiful.
Yay.
So, Felice, you have a closing question for
I
our
do.
guests.
And
This is so good.
I love this. I especially love posing this question to you,
Mm,
Miss Be Well Lady.
yes.
Because well, first, thank you for sharing your gift with the world. Thank you for being inspiration and light and hope to a darkened world, and especially in the mental health space. Because as you said before, you could have your physical health
Mhm.
and technically, but you're not healthy if your mental health is not there. Mental health is everything,
Yes.
everything, bigger than physical health,
Yep.
because there are lots of people that have a physical defect, but their mind is just fine,
Mm,
and they can go on, but you really can't do that vice versa. Okay,
mm,
I'm gonna get off my soapbox and say, okay, so with your wonderful self and all that you do, you said you're a
mhm,
mom of 3 kids, you
mhm,
write, you have your business, you have your community that you support.
mhm.
What does Shu do to fill your cup?
I'll tell you one the secret. I take naps. That's one of them. So I took a nap this afternoon. Got up, did cleaning around the house. I cooked dinner. I had time with my kids. I did some meetings. I took a nap before this. So,
Very good.
and it doesn't always have to be a nap. The point I'm trying to make is that I am intentional about rest.
Yeah,
Very intentional. And some
very.
days it's a nap, some days it's a stroll in the neighborhood, some days sitting by a creek and just watching the sunset or because I love doing that. I listen to the birds. Sometimes it's reading a book for myself. I love to read. Writers are readers. So sometimes I do that. And sometimes it's traveling. I'm also intentional about, even if I'm traveling for work, for business, I try to go the day before, I stay a day late.
Right.
Yeah,
It's fun too. This
yeah,
whole thing about no work and no fun, it's not my lifestyle. I need to work and have fun as well. So
yay.
I find those things that fills my cup emotionally.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah,
What makes you happy? right? And what help you feel happy, calm, and rested? That
Mhm.
is what
Yeah.
Mhm.
you ask yourself that question every day. And it's
Right.
not one of those things where you say, well, I did it yesterday, I did it, well, I did travel last month, or I read a book 2 years ago. You don't
Mhm.
say that with your, if you do that with your teeth, you have no teeth left, right? So you
Right.
every
Right.
single day, every single day, we have to be intentional about pouring into ourselves.
Yes.
So that's why it's called
Yes.
self-care. It's the
Yes.
care that you do yourself. You don't wait for people are like, well, I'll go to the spa. I'm like, yeah, many of us cannot go to the spa every day,
Mm-mm.
right? You're
Mm-mm.
waiting for that anniversary to come or that birthday, so
Yeah.
you get that gift. That's not sustainable,
No,
Mm-mm.
there
right?
is
So
not. Yay.
if right now it's having a candle in my room when I'm doing this. So whatever it is that feels
Mhm.
makes you feel calm, makes you feel happy, makes you feel rested. Infuse that every single day in your life. So I always try to do at least one thing for myself each day. Even if it's 5 minutes of just listening to my favorite song, that's
Yes.
okay. But that's
Right.
important.
Right.
Otherwise,
Right.
I cannot serve from an empty vessel, right? And I
Right.
can't point to people when I'm empty myself. That's not sustainable. And
Absolutely.
that's me being a hypocrite.
Yeah.
I cannot
Yes.
be in this work
Yes.
line of
That's
work
why I'm so
and not take
excited
care of
to ask
myself.
you this question.
Yes, yes, yes. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Well,
Yeah.
we want to thank you for being a part of our podcast tonight. And we want to thank our audience for looking in and looking at the replays. And please, please contact her, get the books, get, in touch. Don't forget to order your book online at shoe.com, as well as grab one of the books and just indulge in it, or all of them. You're absolutely right. Grab one of her books. But again, thank you
Thank
for being our
you.
guest. we
Yeah.
we we really, really, really enjoyed your time with us,
Yeah.
and we enjoyed your time with us, audience. We want to say thank you and good night.
Good night. Thanks so
Thank
much
you
for
for having
joining us.
me.
Have
Have a
Yes,
good
a good
night.
bye.
night.
Good evening. Have a good evening.
Mhm.